All right. Well, a good afternoon from the East Coast and good morning for folks across the country. Excited to spend some time with you today and talk a little bit about our student platform. My name is Dr. Jacob Bonney, and I am the analytics consultant here at Steppingblocks. I've got a couple of colleagues who are on the webinar with me as well. Aaron King is here and Rob Ganaway. They will be answering questions from the chat as needed. So as we proceed through the session this afternoon, feel free to answer or ask any questions you'd like in the chat, and we'll get to those. What we're going to be doing is I want to start with just a really quick summary of the data and some of the resources that we're leveraging to bring you this information. This session is focused on the student platform, so I'm going to spend about 15 or so minutes walking through the features of the student platform to give you some context. I'm seeing the poll results. It looks like quite a few folks have either never logged in or understand the basics, so that's very helpful. We'll be doing a pretty high-level walkthrough of the student platform. I want to save some time towards the end of the session to really talk about use case and begin helping you all think about leveraging these tools on your campus. So we'll talk through some specific examples, and then of course have some time for Q&A at the end. Though, just to remind you, we've got several other sessions planned this afternoon focused on our insights, dashboards, graduate outcomes, and graduate explorer. And then we also have that session at 3:15 for office hours if you have more in-depth questions. So should be a lot of fun. I am going to go ahead and turn off my camera. I'll be sort of looking back and forth at a couple of monitors here, and I know I will distract myself if I have my picture on the screen. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that off and transition to some screen share here. All right, so as mentioned, what I wanted to do was first provide a brief overview of our data. The power of the data that Steppingblocks is leveraging is really beneficial, again, both on the platform side and on our student platform side, to really help you explore the outcomes data of your alumni and then think about leveraging that for your current student population as well. We pull data from hundreds of sources, all of which is publicly available data. And so folks often don't realize that any data that is posted at a public URL is available and can be utilized. And so we are going through a pretty extensive process around validation, processing, using some incredibly advanced technology like machine learning and modeling to explore that data and ultimately develop individual profiles of about 130 million US adults across the country. Those profiles include a lot of information: name, age, estimated salary, locations, degree history, schools, employers, job titles, industries, etc. And so in this case, as we talk about the student platform, we are pulling that data in a way that will allow folks to really leverage that information at the student level. So all of these tools are designed to be student supported for this first session this afternoon. I'm going to just quickly transition over to the student platform and kind of begin giving you an overview of the primary features. And if you're really interested in the data, I would just encourage you to attend some of the sessions later this week. Wednesday, we're talking a lot about outcomes, and so we'll be doing a lot deeper dive into the technical aspect and data sourcing and that sort of thing. So just wanted to provide that brief overview as we got started today. For the purposes of this walkthrough, I'm leveraging Michigan State University. As a large institution with a lot of data, we thought that would be helpful to kind of give you an idea of how you could be utilizing this. Again, if you have access to the platform, you could follow along, but feel free to just listen in as well, and we can talk about your individual institution's perspective during the Masterclass office hours this afternoon. This student platform was actually the beginning of Steppingblocks, one of the first platforms we developed, and it's really focused on serving as a digital career counselor tool for students. And so, this is not at all to be a replacement for career services, but really a great supplement, knowing that much of the data that might be out there from ONET or other sources is potentially outdated. We wanted to help develop a platform and a resource for students so that they could explore this data. Again, for the folks who have never logged in before, you'll see a series of modules over here on the left-hand side, and I'm going to be walking through each of those as we proceed. And really the first one that we're going to begin with here is the home. This home populates based on interests. And so if I click here, I can change my interest. I'm logged in as a student here. And so maybe I'm really interested in entrepreneurship, hospitality, and marketing. This will refresh and load great resources that have been curated by our team to help students. They can watch it directly in the platform or click out. Everything that we have is either visual or video because we know students don't read everything that we send to them or written text very often. They're much more likely to engage with this. You can also search for specific resources as well. So this is really helpful kind of as a starting point for students to get their hand on some resources relating to career interests or career exploration. If folks want to move a little bit deeper, the next component is the personality assessment. And so this is based on Jungian psychology, an instrument that we've sort of adapted and really have a great opportunity for students to complete a personality assessment in 20 questions, about 90 seconds. Of course, I'm just sort of clicking back and forth here, but this is a great way for students to get a really quick overview of all of their potential sort of personality opportunities. So we have a custom personality report here that includes about 11 or 12 pages of content. And this is a great resource for students to get started on their career exploration journey if they're looking for some additional information to kind of get started. This also provides some potential suggested majors or jobs. Of course, not to select a career for the student, but to give them a great starting point if they're not sure about what they should do on their career journey. Really, as we get into the next two modules, this is the meat of our tool and really what helps the student platform stand apart from other resources that students might have access to. The first is the outcomes table. And so this is a high-level overview. For folks who might have used our Insights dashboards, this does have a very similar feel compared to those. Throughout all of our tools, you'll see a 2-bar system. The blue bar is frequency, and the green bar is salary. And so this helps the student just kind of very quickly get a visualization of the outcomes for particular areas. Students can click on any of these, and I'll start clicking in just a moment, but they also have the ability to hover over. If there's anything that they're not sure of, they can hover over those boxes and get a quick overview of what that might be. In this case, as I mentioned, we're looking at Michigan State and about 270,000 graduates. So what I'm going to do is take a look at a job. So for example, a degree. For example, I could find mechanical engineering here. And so you'll see that all of this changed. I'm now looking at about 5,000 graduates with a mechanical engineering degree specifically from Michigan State. And we can see where they're working, what companies, what field or job area they're working in, and then a list of skills. Again, at Steppingblocks, we're very focused on skills and skill support. So this really allows students to kind of get a big picture overview of, do I want to be a mechanical engineer, complete this degree, where might I end up, a variety of different companies, and what sort of job traits might I end up in. So again, super helpful to give folks an overview of all of this data. Technically, we could go left to right here instead of right to left, and so look at specific skills and that sort of thing. We often recommend as students are starting that they begin on this degree side, since that's sort of a tangible thing that they're doing at your institution. But again, they have the ability to review any of this information really in any direction based on the outcomes that are presented. We also share some common jobs down at the bottom to give them an idea of where to start if they're interested in, some additional resources. And the links from the personality assessment also take them directly to the platform, to the outcomes portion of the platform. Search 360 is where things get particularly interesting, and we have a much more deeper dive. For folks who are familiar with our administrative dashboards, this is there's a lot more pieces to this for students to explore, very similar to Graduate Explorer. Again, if you're not familiar with our dashboards, Insights dashboards, we'll be taking a look at those in the next couple of sessions. So this is explorable from a major standpoint and from a career standpoint. So this gives students access to all 130 million job profiles that we've talked about and kind of looked at in the technical process summary. However, we don't provide specific contact information for these individuals because we would not want folks to reach out or contact anyone. So what I'm going to do here is let's take a look at a specific job. How about software engineer? And so if I just hit search here for software engineers, this is going to give me every software engineer that we're aware of based on our data. And I'm going to put a specific state in here. So again, we're thinking about Michigan State. We're going to look at our Michigan State area. And so there's about 5,600 software engineers in Michigan. This gives you an overview. About a third of them have an advanced degree, either from Michigan State or elsewhere. Over half majored in computer or information sciences. And this gives you, kind of additional context to some of those other fields. The tabs here along the bottom, the next one is employment. And so these are some of the other jobs directly related to this idea of software engineering. What are some things I'm doing along the way? Research assistant, intern, we see all of those. Again, the student has the ability to click out to third-party resources if they're not sure what some of these job titles are. We give average salary and some other common jobs and top companies. So I can actually take a look at this, click and see some of the top places in Michigan where I could be hired as a software engineer if this was my outcome. And these also link directly to open jobs at those institutions. So here's Ford Motor Company top careers. The student can link directly out to that and take a look at open job positions at Ford Motor Company or elsewhere. You also have the ability to view career paths. And so again, talking about individuals, this is a person here who had a BS in computer engineering. They became a test engineer, a senior engineer, software, and eventually, ended up as a software engineer. So this allows students to kind of think about, here's someone else, bachelor's degree in computer science. These are their actual skills, again, pulled from our data. And so the student can kind of review and think about these paths and what might align with their interests or how they might be, thinking about their future. We also have the ability to look at this in the wheel view. And so this allows us to zoom in and look at multiple paths at the same time. But again, we're seeing kind of the same progression for many of these individuals. Sometimes there's a lot of jobs before somebody arrives at software engineer. In other cases, we're seeing software engineers right after a bachelor's or a master's program. And so again, this is a great opportunity for students to explore this information and really try to ingest all of this. Skills is also very important, and the student has the ability to see these exact skills and explore that information in a variety of ways. So we'll see, just in general in Michigan for software engineers, we're looking at, a variety of tools, a lot of C++, C#, Java, JavaScript. Throughout our platform, you'll see this system, popularity, relevance, and salary. And so here we're looking at the most popular skills, the most relevant or important skills, and salary skills. And so then this again allows students to, kind of get a good understanding of these various sources. In this case, say, student is not familiar, they can click out and again, review third-party resources. And here's training on JavaScript in 3 hours. Again, a great supplement to what you might be doing either in the classroom or in workshops. We could also add a company name here. So we looked at, Ford Motor Company a minute ago, and we'll see as we put this in here, now we're looking at software engineers at Ford Motor Company. We'll see this list of skills change. And this is really impressive and really powerful for students. TypeScript was not there. Android Studio, Angular, these are different skills. And so this would allow a student, perhaps if they're about to do an internship interview at Ford Motor Company, to go in and take a look at what are the specific components of the tech stack that would be beneficial for them to know. Now, they may not be fully familiar with TensorFlow, in time for that interview, but they could at least, mention that, or again, take a look at some of these resources and have a fundamental understanding to be able to, connect with folks on that component. In addition to Search 360, I'm just going to kind of continue to move it and talk about the other modules, and then I want to talk about applications and open it up for some questions. We have a couple of other resources. Some of these are implemented at institutions, others are not, but I do want to mention them here and kind of highlight that they're available. This would be case by case for each institution to kind of talk about how you're facilitating these pieces. We do have a tuition calculator that's available. We try to help students understand their average net price. They can plug in a specific institution here. So of course I can put in Michigan State, and this will update based on net price. We know that a majority of students, almost all students in the United States, are not familiar with their student loan terms and how that affects their ability to repay or navigate this. And we know the student debt crisis is real and having a big impact on the lives of students since they're not conscious of some of these choices as well. We have a break-even analysis also. So, should I want to be that software engineer, I can put that information in here and really get a real-time understanding. This is a 4-year break-even or 3-year break-even even for students. So this is great to see information like this, really helpful for students to kind of think about this and this experience. Again, we can adjust these up and down, if students were to have scholarships or additional expenses. So again, a resource that we can pull out if your institution is not interested in having it there, but it is helpful certainly for students to explore this information. The last component here in the platform is our job board, and this is a really powerful tool and helpful. We're pulling in a variety of employment opportunities. Again, I can put in software engineer, and maybe I want to stay in Michigan, and this will pull up all of those opportunities, directly in my local area for software engineers. A lot of institutions have Handshake or other resources, and so some folks will want to include this, want to not. This is actually really beneficial because it's allows students to explore actual positions, perhaps what's beyond other sources as we're pulling these in. So again, a great resource for students to kind of think through that. What I wanted to do really quickly is just talk about application. And so I know there were several folks who have logged into the platform before, others who have not. As you're logging in, feel free to explore this and try to get an understanding of how your students could use it. I wanted to just kind of share some of my perspective about some of the best ways to leverage these tools, for students. The first one is really in that job interview prep scenario. We see a lot of institutions who include Steppingblocks as a great resource as students are preparing for jobs or internships. And again, that goes back to the Search 360 model, where a student can plug in a specific job title at a specific company and take a look at the actual skills and actual career paths for folks who are falling in that category. So that's really a great opportunity for folks to do that. Using these same tools, though, Outcome and 360, you could also do that as an assignment in a class or a career development workshop or that sort of thing. So that's really the second great use case for this data, is to assign this to a student. Again, if your institution has an introductory course, success course or something like that, there's opportunities here to incorporate even the personality assessment. This can be a really great starting point, and we have several institutions that are leveraging it in that way to get students to think about their career path and what their next steps could potentially be. In general, this is great for students from an advising or career exploration standpoint, and so I know a variety of institutions leverage this tool, to help students sort of think about their next steps and really bridge that college to career opportunity. So lots of great use cases there on the individual level as you're working with students sort of one-on-one. I will say from my previous experience in higher ed, I could easily see, encouraging students to join either a virtual workshop or an in-person workshop at a computer lab and pull this up. and sort of walk through it. That was a common strategy in advising when I worked in advising, to sort of have folks sort of come together in a computer lab space if we're in person or again virtually, and have the student live facilitate kind of a walkthrough of their potential outcomes or potential future plans, and have the career advisor either virtually or in person again sort of bounce around and engage in conversation with students as they're exploring their career paths.